All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Support webinar. Today's date is November the 2nd, 2016. This is the Wednesday night webinar, and the title of tonight's webinar is The Best and Safest 5 Trade Types. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar. Other webinars we might have, our live trading room, or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? I don't see any, so let's go ahead and get started. By the way, just real quick, I'll go ahead and show the member area here. And this webinar is not live yet. This is the one we're doing right now. So it'll be uploaded just as soon as the room's over. I just went ahead and put it on the page is all I did. So any webinars down below here are active. This one will be active probably 20 minutes after we close this webinar, just as soon as I can get it uploaded. Okay, so without further ado, let's go to the teaching for tonight. All right. You might want to memorize these. If anybody can think of some kind of a little jingle or something like that to go with these, you know, maybe that'll help everybody remember it. But my 5 safe trades are predictor trades, KISS trades, mid-band trades, phantom trades, and the small box in trades. Those particular trades right there, you don't even have to pick all 5 of them, by the way. You know, you can use one, you know, once in a while or something like that. But if you get really good, you know, for instance, at like predictor and KISS, that's good enough. You know, but then if you see a phantom showing up and you want to take it, then jump into it too. And I'm going to teach everyone in the room tonight how to see those particular trades, trade them in, you know, like real time, and then show you how to make some serious nice coin in your trading. Okay. Now, one thing that I personally like to do in my trading is I like to stick with the trend unless I'm scalping. Okay, for instance, if you see like this right here, thrust down, retrace, thrust down, retrace, thrust down, retrace, you can kind of tell this is heading downward, not upward, right? Okay, so, you know, this little area right here is kind of telling you where your next trade setup should be. But we've got predictors that'll even get more accurate than that. So the first trade that I'm going to teach tonight is going to be a predictor trade, and we'll try to get one of those here in just a few minutes. Okay, now there is an aggressive way for your stops and targets. In the room, you're going to always hear Charles, you know, talking numbers and everything, and I talk numbers, and that is because we're looking at aggressive stops and a more conservative stop. Okay, now I personally like lightning. Lightning stops are very, very, very good. Okay, and they'll keep you making really good money because you'll get out of trades, you can get back in trades, and if you want to ride a runner with a longer one, of course, you could use the larger lightning if you wanted to. Okay, so let me show you something here real quick. I'll go to the next screen, and we're going to look at 3 trends. Everybody should be able to see them now on your screen. Okay, and again, I drew these as accurate as I possibly could because this is realistically what happens in your trading. Okay, lightning 1 is going to be very quick. It's a 4-range bar. Basically, if it rolls over, it draws a swing. If it rolls up, it draws another swing, and so on. Okay, this would be more like lightning 2. You know, thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace. A little bit larger moves on it because it has to come back at least 2 full bars for any kind of pullback. Okay, and then of course lightning 3 is over here. Now everybody knows from last week, and I taught it last week, so I don't really probably need to go over it again, but identified lightning is extremely important to your trading. And where would your stop be? To give you an example, let's say that you were watching for this little trade like right here, let's say, for instance, you were watching this in real time and you said, okay, if this breaks above this swing here, I'm going to take a pullback, and then when it pops back above the line, I'll take it long, okay? Or you might be able to box it in even. And of course, where would your stop be? Once it identifies the swing, then obviously your stop would be at the low, okay? And then if it makes another move like that, is that your swing yet? Just going over a little bit of recap, and that's not your swing, is it? Because until it takes out this high over here, this swing is not identified, but this one is. Okay, and that's extremely important to trading, because trading is high, low, higher high, higher low, higher high. And until you quit doing that, it's still heading up. And that's when you don't want to go against the trend, unless you're a very, very good scalper. Okay, and I'm going to show you an actual trade that was called in the room today long rather than short, because of this exact way that the charts get to be identified, the lightning swings. You know, when this actually takes out the swing like this, is this now identified right here? And the answer is yes. Okay. Okay. And that's what you're looking for. Naturally, you'd put your stop right under here. Now that might be 20 ticks sometimes, but if you're going to want to get gusto trades, believe me, those kind of stops is what's going to get you there. Because, you know, for instance, this is a good 10-tick pullback right here, you know, and then it just pops up, right? And this is what the 4 range would look like. Okay, now on 4 range chart, what I like to look at personally, okay, let's look at this from this side. You have a high, you have a low. This is established once it takes out this swing right here. Established swing. Once it takes out this swing, this low is established, right? But one thing you got to be careful with on your 4 range, your lightning 1, is what I like to do a lot of times is go ahead and go back to what I call a secondary swing, because you'll find that they'll take these out on these smaller, you know, if you want to ride a gusto. And a lot of times it'll do something like that and then head up, okay? So the secondary swing on a lightning 1 will more than likely be close to what a lightning 2 swing is to begin with, okay? See, like this right here, for instance, thrust, retrace, still a higher low, and off she goes, okay? Now that we've looked at this, let's look at it in real time and see if we can make some trades. Let's see, Kenneth, let's see, one thing I would ask for you to note, not only the trade, but what to look for would be to negate that trade. Okay, we'll look at some of that too. Bear with me a second. I'll go ahead and go over to an actual chart. Okay, and judging by what I just talked about, what would be the logic of this trade right here, to give an example? Okay, you have a high here, a low here, a lower high, same low, lower high, lower low. So this is what I consider to be your lightning swing that would make a difference on whether it would go up or not. And you could diagnose that really quick on your chart. Okay, now we're going to go over that first trade, and we don't have a predictor yet. Hopefully we'll get one. We will get one. We'll just have to turn it on and see where we get it. But I'm going to be looking for a predictor. What would your first guess be on this chart if I expected this to go down in price? Anybody? What would be your first clue at that? You'd want to have a lower high, right? That would be obviously what you'd want. You'd want a lower high than this one here. Okay? So by looking to the left to trade the right, we need to look at some swings and see where some swings are, to give an example. Okay, here's one at 43. All right. Here's one at 37. And here's one at 35. See, these are those numbered swings. And I like to get as close to mid-band as possible. So I'd be looking more for very possibly this trade right here and possibly up to mid-band. Now keep in mind that you can't go any higher than this. That is your identified swing. So therefore, if they go any higher than that, we're no longer heading down, but we could actually be breaking more to the upside if it takes out this swing. Because if you draw your lightning, you'll see it. It'll draw like this. See, there you have a thrust down, retrace, thrust down, retrace, doesn't take out the low, retrace takes out the low. Okay, so that's your identified swing. Okay. So if this was to break this, would we just automatically go long? And the answer is no. We would want to thrust up and pull back into it. Okay. So let's see if we can get a trade. If this doesn't break up on us, we'll find out. All right. So we're going to look for a predictor, and I'll go ahead and start the clock running. We're doing this in replay simply because you just can't get enough movement to teach 5 different types of trades without it. Okay, so we'll see if we can get something here. Hopefully I don't speed it up too much where I can't get the trade. I'm going to go 8 times normal speed. See if we can get it. Predictor's not hidden. The predictors are on the chart, see? So it's not that. If you do that, it'll turn them off. But we need the predictor. Okay, so basically, if you look at this, where I drew this, remember we had some swings that they haven't checked yet, and I'd be looking for a trade. Well, let's see if it draws here, but there's where I'd be looking, because we don't want to take this out. We want a lower high if we're going to head down. So let's see if we can get something. Watch it be one of these slow times, and we won't get anything for a bit. That's okay if we don't. But I'm going to show you how to do my personal favorite trade type is these predictors. Now, do they hit them exactly? No. If anybody can find any software that hits the trade on the money every single time, tell us about it too, and we'll all be billionaires. But there's really no such thing, is there? But there is a good opportunity to find out with good analysis of where the trade should be. Let's see, how relevant is a mid-band stair step versus straight for setup, Carl? Well, your best trade after a trend change is first time in the mid-band, and you usually want it to at least touch mid-band or higher. So if you were up at, 3:30 in the afternoon the day before, that would have been a good trade. Okay. I doubt if you would have taken this one that was after hours, but you could have. But, oh, there's our predictor, isn't it? Does everybody see the predictor? So let's see. We will draw a line at predictor. So now I'm looking at between those two lines instead, because it's telling me that the predictor is pretty much going to be in this area right here as far as, and it drew it. See, it drew it right here. So I'm going to simply wait and take a trade and see if we can get one. And just to be fair on this, not everybody does like, 4 obviously. So let's see if we can get nicely green with just 2. And we're not even going to go for runners or anything right now. We're going to simply show how you can make some nice predictor trades and make some coin. Now, I usually like to do something like, you'd probably want to do 3 anyway, because that way you can get a decent little trade. But we'll do 2. We'll just try it. Still not where we need it. Even if it was going to just come with a minor, it would have to come at least to here. See what I mean? That's where it broke down. So we're waiting for a pullback. See if we can get it. And another thing you want to look for most times too is a thrust, retrace, and a little thrust, an ABC, simply because that's some of your better trades. There we go. See it right there? And did we get us a little trade or not? Okay. Now that's like $150, so that was 5 and 10 is what that turned out to be. Notice how we diagnosed that in real time to see it too, right? And did it turn out to be a decent trade? And the answer is yes. Okay. Now, rather than chasing a trade, we don't even care if this goes down in a big way because we're out of that trade now. So what are we looking for? in the interim? Well, we're going to look for another predictor trade. That's my favorite trade. Let's see if we can get one. It may take a while because it may break 22 and head on down. It may go ahead and retrace. We don't know. But we do know that it did what we wanted it to. It hit the predictor. And let's see if we can get another trade. Now, right now, where I'd be looking on this trade, if we're going to stay with lower highs and lower lows, you really don't want to take out this swing right here. So anywhere up near this, and this is where I see it also coming to, is right across this area right here. See where it's got a little lightning right here, and then it broke down? And they go through and they check these. Let's see if we can get another trade. We didn't quite get to our 43, did we? We got to 40. That's good enough. I mean, you're not going to get, that's one thing about these predictors. They're really good at figuring out this price action. Let's see if we can get another trade. And then once we get through with the predictor trades, you want to go back to KISS trade? That'll be my next favorite. But with a KISS trade, you have to wait for a stair step and a KISS. It doesn't have to be above mid-band, Abe, on your question. It just simply has to be, you know, where the predictor decides that the trade should be. Okay, now where would my stop have been on this one? You notice that we got it right where we needed to, but wouldn't our stop have been just right above here? You know, so we would have had maybe, I don't know, 10 ticks or so. See if we can get another trade. Now, if this breaks down instead of coming back, what we're looking for is a breakdown of 22. I'll show you that there's two trades I'd be looking for. I'd be looking for this one, like so, and I'd be looking for this one, like so, like that, okay? Because if we get a breakdown, we need a pullback, and if we get a pullback instead, you know, like we're bottoming out here, then we're going to be looking for that trade up there at around 37. Let's see, Abe, can I ask you if we should add on mid-band with the stop, say 5 ticks above? Well, Abe, on your question, what I'm going to try to teach everyone tonight is to be able to see these in real time and show some aggressive stops and also some conservative stops. You know, for instance, if this starts moving, we start getting some breakdown, then we'll go ahead and, for instance, get a KISS trade. Remember, the two favorite trades, top two anyway, are predictor and KISS trades. Those are really good trades. Looks like we're going to get this one. Now, could you actually, if you're a gutsy trader with that double bottom, could you have actually kicked a quick 5 ticks? The answer is yes. But I'm not going to show counter trending tonight as much, simply because if you do that type of trading, what I'd recommend is actually really tight stops and do even more contracts and try to get, you know, a few $100s. Literally, don't try to go for the moon. In other words, if you would have gotten in here, I'd already be out. Why chart P&L show 130 instead of 150? Probably because of the slippage. Now you notice we don't have a white predictor again yet. Let's see if we can get one. We'll get rid of this. Looks like we're going to get a white predictor to me. Okay, so this is our lightning swing that's identified over here. You also have some lightning over here. Let me draw it. Hopefully we can get this trade. Right across here is a lightning swing. And there's our predictor. What do you think on that one? We should get a lower high if we're going to head down. If this bar closes, I'll go ahead and take 2. Okay, so we're in. Where would our stop have to be on this particular trade? Well, right now it'd have to be a little above that line just in case it decides to go up here. Because if you look to the left to trade the right, you had a thrust, retrace, thrust. So that's a lightning swing. I could probably put my stop here with exit on close. Almost got our predictor, didn't it? I think it did get our predictor. If you draw the line at the right spot, I think it did. Well, got us another decent trade. Now you got a double top and a double bottom. It's kind of going sideways. Makes you nervous because of high or low. Well, one thing that I personally, and you got to be careful with that, simply because the overall trend is still down. Okay, so to me, this is not higher lows in any way, except on the little bitty chart, right? The 4 range. But it even respected this swing, and you do have a lower high, see it right here? And truthfully, I'd probably be adding to this trade underneath this swing myself, about like that. It's up to you if you want to do that, but it looks to me like it would break that swing, so I'd probably add. You might want to wait for the bar to close, though, because once it takes out that swing, then it should pop down, hit its head. Let's see, if it breaks below and pulls back, it couldn't pull back any further than that right there. Might have been a little premature on that one. I didn't wait for it to close. We'll see. Still going to trust my stop because I haven't gotten a scalp yet. I'm going to get one target out of the way since we got 4 contracts on now. Now this, more than likely, you'd go ahead and move that target down in here. We didn't get a chance to, but that's okay. All right, now let's look at, are we going to get a kiss trade? Maybe so. Let's get this target out of the way and see if we can. The trade that I'd be looking for would be a break of 22. If we break it, a decent break below it, and then come back and kiss really close to 22. Matter of fact, not getting it just yet, are we? That's okay. Our lightning is right across here. You could tighten your stop, but when it's that close to this one, I usually just leave it. But you could do it like that if you wanted to, but I'd probably put it right there just in case, because that is a lightning identified swing, so it should hold. Now keep in mind, if we go up to that, we're going to be down, because that 6 ticks is going to evaporate that $240 in a heartbeat. Let's see if we can get a kiss trade. Maybe. I never trade this time of night. I'm sleeping. Let's see, Tom, just 1 second. Just 1 second. Is this working? Do you take the predictor trade in the direction of the color? Absolutely, and that's what I was saying earlier, that you want to. Let me pause this for just a second. I'm going to go back over that little deal that I drew up. All right, here it is right here. Stick with the trend unless you're scalping. Now that's just my personal rules for my personal trading and trade calling. It's up to you if you want to go counter trend. There's people that counter trend and take a 20 tick hit and, you know, get hit, and then they'll get the other one right, and then maybe they'll, you know, make their day okay. I don't believe in that. I believe in staying a little bit more with that trend. This is replay because we're going to have this going more than just one time, so that I can show all these trades, because this webinar is dedicated to showing you predictor, kiss, mid-band, phantom, and the small box. And once I get through with these, I think you're going to find out you can probably make some money with the tools. Okay, let's go ahead and let it go. Now keep in mind though that in the room, the 20 trade calls you heard today between 4 charts was live. So You know, in webinars, the way I teach, I like to use the replay simply because I'm able to show some very, very good trade setups. You know, because anybody can look at a chart and go, well, I'd get in here, here, or here. But what I'm trying to show you in real time to draw on your charts and see what you would be looking for. To give an example, if this breaks 22, don't you think more than likely it'll come back and check it? I mean, isn't that the rule that happens all the time? I'll tell you how I like to trade it myself. We'll draw a little box right under here, like so. And if it comes anywhere inside that box after a thrust, I'm going to wait for a thrust, and then we're going to take that trade, add on, if it does it. Well, a KISS trade, yeah, absolutely. A KISS trade, and like I say, this is my second favorite trade. And you might even say that KISS and Predictor are actually my two favorite trades, okay? But you don't want to just take them where they barely take it out and come back and KISS. When a KISS trade works really, really well, and it looks like it's setting up for it, yeah, it is setting up for it. Lightning is drawing right here at what, 20? So guess what? That's a lightning swing. So more than likely, if it kisses, it's not going to kiss any higher than that. So we can kind of forget this line right here, right? Because it's already telling us by lightning that your identified swing. Didn't I show you how to do identified swings? Identified swing is right there at 20. Let's see if we can get it. Lightning is a beautiful way to trade because you can see it in real time. Remember when I talked about on your trends, let's go ahead and go back over here one more time. Bear with me 1 second. You should be able to see. Okay. Now, if you look at this, you'll notice that these trends that I've drawn here, these are actual types of trends that you'll get on your chart, you know, with this thrust and retrace and thrust and retrace. So the whole idea is it's going to tell you, you know, for instance, see this is actually what I would consider a KISS trade. Let's say that you were trading this right here and you saw a little resistance like right here, okay? So it thrusts up above it. What do you think it's going to do? It's going to pull down, check it, and where would your stop be? It'd be under here. And then that's your trade. See what I mean? That's called a KISS trade. Oh, this is nice. Let's see if we can go ahead and get the rest of this. Okay, remember we're looking for a KISS, no longer up here because it would take out lightning. And all bets are off if it takes out lightning. Our stop, of course, would be just right up above this swing right now. Okay. But remember what I was talking about, a high, a low, a lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Isn't that your identified swing? And by being your identified swing, keep in mind that if it's going to break micro, and that's your micro identified swing, then it'll go up and check higher like one of these medium swings, like midband, to give an example. Anybody not understand that? That's your different trends here. Okay, we'll see if we can get that. We'll add on if it does. And remember, we drew a little box. I'll go ahead and draw that box again. Just in case it wicks this, we'll go ahead and let it go as high as 22. And if it gets anywhere in that box right there, we'll add another one. What is it that determines the color of the midband? The trend, David, on your question. Now the red, when it goes to red like this, that means it's a session low. Okay? And on the flip side of that, the blue is the session high. The color of the midband here, which is the magenta, is a downtrend. A rose color, I don't know if we had a rose color, let me see. Yeah, we didn't. We just had magenta. But if you get a rose color, that means it's sideways. And on the long side, the blue color is the session high. The green is a trend up, and then the yellow is a sideways motion. See if we can get this. Yeah, we could do, you want to do it that way? See if Sniper will work in market replay. Touch +2 and we'll activate Sniper. Let's see what, just one second. Ken is saying what gets him sometimes is the high, high, the high, low, the high, high, the low, low. Do I just ignore the, I'm not sure exactly what you mean by ignore which swings. Oh, the inside? Well, to give an example, like just looking at this chart, now we don't know that we're going to get a trade here because obviously it could go higher than this. But one way that I like to look at it also, if you look at your previous low and they take it out by quite a bit, that's a pretty good bet that that trade's going to actually work out. It's when they barely take out the lows and then pop right back up. My Sniper button is turned on. Yeah, we're going to take that trade if it gets up there. And we'll go ahead and do it with, we'll just turn on all 4 of these so it'll give us an extra target to shoot for. Let's see, just one second. Do you take the predictor trade in the direction, the color of the background? Not so, it's not the background that makes the predictor color, Tom. It's the midband that makes the predictor color. Okay, Dave, on your question, you can definitely, absolutely show some different setups and everything versus waiting on replay. That's true. And I can do that a little bit more if you want to. We'll go to live data and just look at it and show the trades. What I wanted to show here is how to see it, happening in real time, because this is what you're going to run into every day of your life. Bear with me a second. I think I got all the questions so far. Okay. Is it bottoming out? I don't think so yet. Matter of fact, that's your lightning swing right there. Now you could get a lower high, but see, you don't have a predictor just yet. We don't have a predictor just yet. But I'd be looking for this trade right here. Okay, there's your little thrust, little retrace. See if we get a little bottom, and yeah, there we go. Oh, not yet. Still went right on the money there, so we're still okay. Now we're going to have to wait for a little pop and pull back again and then a thrust up if it's bottoming at all. So this will be 2 of my favorite trades so far. This is a kiss trade right here, and also you could look at right here even, and I'm not moving the dot, so that should still fire. See, there's your dot right there where that line's at. Well, we went down a little bit further. That's okay. We'll wait for the kiss trade. And we may not get it. It may be that we just missed it because I think we kissed here while I was talking, and I didn't catch that. That's okay. Guess what? There's plenty of trades still left on the chart. The lightning that I'm using right there, James, is the lightning 1. It's the lightning 1 swings. That's pretty close right there. It hit this swing instead. See, the swing changed. See how it took out the low? So I'm going to go ahead and take that at that kiss right there, and I've got 4 in. See why I took that, everyone, right? Because my lightning changed. While we were looking at this, our lightning actually changed in real time. Remember a minute ago it was here because it had a low and a lower, right? But then all of a sudden we got a lower high and no lower low, but then we finally got a lower low, at least with a wick even. So that little trade right there should work out for us. Everybody see that? Let's see if it works. Watch it go up and check 18. Did not close below the swing. It didn't close below the swing, but a lot of times when I see it do like a full 3 ticks, if you were using a 3-range bar, that would be. The small wicks I don't trust as much, but you're right, it didn't close there. But the lightning still did form, so I kind of trust it. It may teach me not to trust it here in a second if it busts up above 17. I'm going to go ahead and put a stop just above my swing to the left at 20 with the close of the bar. Still respecting lightning so far. This is exactly what we do in that room all the time. We draw these lines on the charts. See, there's basically where you're at right now, isn't it? Just in that little range right there. That's resistance. How do you take the right one? Let's see, is it CBA? Well, the way you do that is, remember the rule of thumb that we like to go by? If micro lightning is holding, I trust the micro swings. If micro lightning doesn't hold, then you want to go for the higher swings like mid-band. Okay? So in other words, if this was to break this, this area where I've got my stop, to give an example, then we're not going to be heading low any longer. Okay? And right now, well, we got another, I don't know why that just flattened me, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and take it. That's right there at my resistance. I like that, right at resistance. Let's see, does Object Trader work with other types of bars? Yes. Yeah, you might look and see if you've got like a custom one or something and just try it out, but it should. I know that, to give an example, like Ultimate, I think it's called Logic Ultimate, something like that, that's put out. It works on those because we had him actually draw us a little code in there that it actually watches for that types of bars. Okay. Now keep in mind, technically, no, you don't have higher lows. Let me show you why. You are getting a little bit of power meter, but that's where you want those retraces. You want that to turn green. Okay, because that's what these retraces are doing right here. It's doing this little bitty lightening up. But if you look at this chart, let me just get rid of some lines and I'll show you. All right, you had a high, a low, a lower high, and a lower low. So this is your identified swing right here on the left. All right. You had a wick here, so that doesn't count. So that is actually your identified swing right there. See it? So that's what we were looking for, was that 20, wasn't it? Gave us 2 opportunities to get it, and we got it. I'm going to go one more if we get a bar closed down, if we get a lower high. Because what it's doing is trying to check that swing now. See it? That way we get an extra one in. Okay? And we'll leave our stop. We're going to move our stop here in just a minute, because where's our identified swing? Well, our identified swing is all the way down here right now. Okay, so I'd put it just above it, just like that. Okay, let's see. I don't know how long it'll take possibly to get a mid-band. That's the next trade I want to teach. So probably what we'll do here in about the next 10 minutes for the rest of the webinar, I'll go ahead and show some trade setups. And you can see clearly, though, that you can use this in real time, just like we do in the room, to take these great trades. Now, I'd probably, one thing you can also do, see when you don't have a pink, your magenta, that's because this price is being calculated right now to see where our predictor is going to show up. And where it shows up, I would go ahead and protect some coin too. See where predictor is? Down here. Let's go ahead and take some off. If I had to pick one out of the 4 of them, well, I like the Lightning 1, but I also use my Lightning 1 with a secondary swing as well as a primary swing because it's so fast. If you use Lightning 2, though, there's times that you don't get enough movement to actually print it, and you can get some pretty good movement out of the way, to give an example. So I still like the Lightning 1 the best. Absolutely. Okay, where would my, well, my stop went to break even, so we're okay anyway. But where would my stop be on this particular chart right now? right there, wouldn't it? It's lightning. Remember, I was talking about a conservative and an aggressive. That's an aggressive stop. This would be a conservative stop. See it right here? And if you want to go even more conservative, obviously this swing here. Okay? But I like the lightning swings pretty well. You hear me talk about them all the time in the trading room. I like that stop because that particular stop seems like a pretty good stop to me. This looks like a pretty good thrust. I'll bet we get a mid-band. Now, if you were trading this in real time and you walked into the room, okay, what would you think would be your best trade setup next? Without, I mean, totally safe. Where do you think it is? A pullback, right? Well, let's go ahead and kill it. And, you know, just let's pretend you don't have any trade left anymore. Let's just pretend you weren't even up. So let's kill the trade and let's diagnose the chart. All right. We were talking before. What did we do? We hit 20 area. See that? So that swing has already been checked, right? It got to it within 2 ticks. Where's your next swing? Right there. Isn't it? Isn't it at 06? Right now it is. We may get one lower. We'll find out in a minute. Just bear with it and we'll see. Let me go ahead and speed it up and see if we can get something. I've got it going 50 times. There's your little predictor right there, isn't it? You want to go ahead and take it? It's got to get up there though. ABC. There's the A. Hopefully that's the B, that we don't take out that bottom. Otherwise we just missed again. It'd be okay if we do, but I don't believe in chasing them. It went ahead and went down a little bit further. We'll see if we can get a retrace again. Ooh, there's mid-band. Look at there. 06. I got this going pretty fast, so it may be hard to catch it. We'll find out. Then I'm going to show you some other trades here in just a minute. If we can get this one. Looks like we just missed it. It did hit so close to mid-band, didn't it? So close to mid-band. That's all right. We'll get it. I got this going 100 times, so bear with me. It's a little tougher to trade it at 100 times. Still waiting on at least 06. There's another predictor. There we go. Just like that. Keep in mind I got that going 100 times, so it may whip around a little bit. Now I'd put my stop just in case on this thing. Of course it's going 100 times, so it's going to be kind of hard to do it. But you got stopped anyway. That's okay. All right, bear with me just a second. And what I'm going to do right now is I want to show you some other trades. Yeah, and keep in mind, Pervez, when that was going 100 times, and it still is, that that's a little harder to do. I did that so we could speed this up a little bit. There was another trade, by the way, at 06. Bear with me 1 second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take the replay data off. We're going to go to real time. And hopefully we don't lose anything. Bear with it just a second. And I want to teach you some of those trades that we talked about earlier. Let it go ahead and load. It'll just take a second. Bear with it a second. It's still loading. And I'm going to go ahead and load NQ because I didn't trade that this morning, but I did do some trade calls on it. I want to show it to you. Bear with me a second. It's still loading another chart. All right, and close your eyes for just a second because we're going to go back. Back to the time when the room was open. And I'm going to go to NQ. And I want to show you some trade setups again. All right, bear with it a second. Man, this thing was all over the place today on NQ. I want to show you some decent little trade setups. Right at the time that the market opens for us. Okay, right now, the market is basically opening for us at what, 8:31 in the morning, right? Okay, so we're not looking to short this or anything like this yet, right? We're going to draw some lines on the chart first off. Okay, and we're going to look for a predictor. And this is right at when we start getting our little boxes forming, which you could actually get your quick long. Okay, you got your little scalp. Now, where's your predictor right now? Anybody remember this trade right here? I think Charles boxed us in and got this little short. But let me ask a quick question on that. Is that a higher low or at least the same low? Remember, we drew this in the room this morning because that is support. Now, I would probably in a heartbeat buy that simply because you have a high here, a low here, and just barely higher high, but that's a deep probe, so that is definitely support. And it was also on top of this swing. So could you actually box this in? Now, this would be what I'd consider a phantom trade. Now, keep in mind what a phantom trade is you're looking for first time after a trend change for a phantom. Okay, so here was your trend short. You went to a trend long. There's your first time in the mid band. Okay, that's the mid band trade you're going to want to trade. Okay, first time in the mid band after a trend change. And the best way to trade those if you want to be successful at it is probably to box it in. Okay, for instance, if this was to do a little 1, 2, 3, then more than likely you'd already be in this trade right above here, and your stop would be under here to begin with, and you would have probably gotten that trade. Okay, that's a mid-band type trade. This would be a phantom trade right here, but it didn't quite touch it. Okay, but you could also box it in. And keep in mind also one thing too, that when it breaks lightning back to the upside, if you're looking at this in real time when you're trading, just like I taught just a bit ago, where's your lightning swing on this chart? Well, it's right there at 755, right? And what does it do? It breaks it. Okay, that's your lightning swing. As a matter of fact, this quit heading down when it started getting a higher low, and it took out this little high here. But remember, our lightning swing was actually over here at 55. So you got you a nice little trade. Okay. Now, what you're looking for at the open of the market, you want to be really careful at the open of the market. Okay. Because what happens usually is you want to draw on your chart what I consider to be your lightning 3. Because remember, in the room each day, I'll say that if we break this, we're going to be heading down. Until we break that, it's kind of not real smart, in my opinion, to short this just because it makes a little box above mid-band. You know, to give an example like there, would you have accidentally shorted that and then got whacked? Yes. That's why I don't like that. Until it takes this out. You know, I drew this on TF the other day. If it took that out and retraced into it, something like that even, and then rolled over, I'd be on that like a duck on a June bug. But until it takes that out, it's still an uptrend. Okay? And what did you get at the open? Well, that's at your open right there. Where's your lightning swing on this chart? If you want to take the conservative, look to the left. You have a high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So that is your identified swing right there. Now, if you get a little pullback before it breaks this, you know, like in other words, it just did this, came down, made a higher low, and then popped up, you could have a box right here even. It would be changing the trend. The way it is right now, that's your lightning swing, and until it breaks it, you're not really heading up. Okay. Now see, this is actually doing a little bit better. Watch what you could do. There's your lightning swing now, a little lower. See if we can get it. Wouldn't that be decent right there? Breaking lightning. Or even trust that one if you want to. You see what I mean? Because that's a good lightning swing there too. And then you got that move. Okay? But keep in mind until lightning actually tells you that you're going the opposite direction. And if you look at that chart that I drew earlier, you'll notice that as long as lightning, what in the world? Oh, I know what it is. Bear with me a second. There we go. All right. You'll notice on here that your lightning is exactly the same way. For some reason, this kind of messed up. I don't know what I did. But let's just go on this part of the chart. Let's say that you had some kind of a pullback like this right here, and you were going up, then you were going down. And then all of a sudden you had a low, a high, a higher low. Doesn't it take out the lightning swing right there? And if you don't trust that one, then go a little higher. Make it break it, come back, and then go back up through it. But don't go against lightning. For instance, if the trend is still heading down, you know, like you have a high, a low, a lower high, a lower low, lower high, lower low, and then all of a sudden you break this, then guess what? You're actually looking to flip the trade once it does a retracement. But if you'll remember in the room this morning, I had this line drawn on NQ, and I said NQ is probably going to bounce right off that line, and it did. And you got to watch for that when they open up. It was pretty much telling you had an uptrend, at least on the longer term trend. And our scripts will pretty much tell you too, because the mid band was still blue, the backgrounds were green and transitional, and you got a nice little uptrend. Can you devise a pill you can give me and it all sinks in, Abe? Well, if you'll actually just look at the lightning swings, I think it will sink in. Okay? If you'll look at these, I think it will sink in. Let me get rid of everything on this chart except this right here, and I'm going to draw a hypothetical, and you tell me when you could take the trade. I'll get rid of all this, and we won't care about lightning 3. We're going to look at lightning 1. All right? I can't do anything except remove these one at a time, or I'll remove them all. Okay, that's good enough. All right, let's say hypothetically, without backgrounds or anything, where would you be looking for this to change trend directions on this particular setup right here? Well, you can't see any prices, so I'll put a line on the chart, and you tell me where you would be looking for it to change, and I'll move the line accordingly, and you tell me where. Right? So in other words, if this was to actually do this, and then this, and you got a lower high, say, well, technically you could actually take the trade if it took out this little swing across here, right? But you also realize that that's as far as you might go, and you could still be heading up, because to change trends, it's got to take this out. You see what I mean? So in other words, if you just took this trade right here like that, well, what if it didn't come down to here and it did more like this? Came down a little bit and only gave you like 3 ticks, and you didn't even get your trade, and then off it went. Okay? That's why I like to look to the left to trade the right, because when lightning, this is just a retracement. That's your lightning swing right there. Okay? So to me, if this was going to head down, I'd like to see it do this. I'd like to see it break, come back and kiss, and then roll over. You know, may not do that much, but see what I'm getting at? In other words, you break support, it then becomes resistance, and then it rolls over. And then you're starting to stair step down. And you can look at any chart and you'll see that same thing happening. So let's look at the real data. And again, I won't even draw the lightning on the chart. I just want everybody to show me where lightning is. We may not get to all these trades If we don't, we'll get to them on Saturday, sorry. All right, so bear with me a second. Let's say you're looking at this and it's 8:30 in the morning, okay? You can clearly see right over here that lightning is heading down. Okay, let's go ahead and draw it. Okay, so where is the lightning swing on this chart at this very second that I've got this chart open? And the answer is right here, right? But that doesn't mean that's where our trade's at. That just means that that's where our swing is right now. That's not a very good color. We'll go ahead and do black. All right, so that's our swing, right? But watch it in real time as things, well, as you'd be watching it in real time. Watch where lightning forms. Now where's lightning? It's right there. Is that still a downtrend? Yes. See there? It closed below this one, okay? So let's watch it and see if we can get it. Closed a little bit lower. Now watch what happens. If this doesn't do a little thrust and pullback, you don't get a lightning swing here. Your lightning swing's still here, okay? And sometimes you're going to get it that way. Sometimes you'll get a little pop, a pullback, and then pop, and then you'll actually have a little smaller lightning that you can still take, because that means it's changing trends back the other direction. In other words, it's stair-stepping back up. This particular real-time chart, it looks like it's going to be when it takes out that swing. And see, it kisses it. All right. Now where's your swing? It's right there. Okay. Now what I normally do when I see something like this, if this even comes down to like this area right here, to give an example, or here, I'm going to pretty much nail that trade with a market order, because what it's trying to do in real time, it's trying to go to that predictor, isn't it? It's exactly what it's trying to do. All right, but if you just get in the habit of just trading the lightning, though, you'll find that you'll make some pretty good trades. Your lightning swing's right there. If it comes down again, we might get a lower lightning, but if not, now you might say that that's a lower lightning, but it didn't take out the low here, so I'd still use this one because it's still stair-stepping down on the left. It hadn't stair-stepped up on the right yet, okay? Pretty much broke it right across there, didn't you? So that bar right there would have gotten you in, this bar right here, and I'll circle it, because that is starting to break with a closed bar. No, Mindy, on your question, now you could be taking some shorts too, yes, but keep in mind what I'm showing more tonight is how to stick with the overall trend. And the overall trend on this chart right here is still long, okay? Now it doesn't mean that, yeah, this is a kiss trade right here. See it where it thrusts down, retraces back into it, kisses it again, rolls over. That could have been a 10-tick trade. That could have been a 10-tick trade, okay, because that's a kiss trade. It's a risky kiss trade, though, when it's got a green background, okay? But then watch when it starts taking lightning back to the upside. You have a low, a high, higher low, higher high, but it didn't close. So we still use the swing across here that did, right? And that's when you broke out. See there? Let me look at lightning 3. I think this is the one area that too many people miss on the trade, because if you box in, you know, to give an example, let's say that the market opened and you box this in like right here, to give an example, like so. Would you do that when your low is only right down here to begin with? Is that a 10-tick trade? You might, you know, because that's a little box. But see, then it went up, so you didn't get that box anyway. Okay, so at the open, you actually got a little fake, and you probably got a scalp is all. But keep in mind, on the left-hand side of the chart, and this is what I like to look at the most, and I hope it sinks in, because to me, on this side of the chart in real time, I see a swing right across here. That is my identified swing. That is a little downtrend until it takes that back out, at that moment anyway. Okay? Now, in what we call the micro trend, you could have taken it when it took this little box out, right? And we do that at the open. But keep in mind at the open, what also happens is there's a lot of movement. Yeah, and it does it quickly because, see, that's 1 minute right there, and you had all those bars right there. Okay? And if you'll get in the habit of watching for these predictors too, they're really good. Okay, see that predictor right there? Green predictor. Okay? Couldn't you box it in? There's your third little bar back that you could take, you know, if you're a little bit of a gutsy trader, but that one would have stopped you out. See what I mean? That's why I like Lightning better. You know, because at the open, lots of times instead of doing the micro, and remember also what I said too, anytime you break micro, you'll usually go and check medium swings. And your Lightning on your medium swing was still upward. Let me draw it. So you basically had a low, a high, a higher low, a little higher high. It really never took that out, and it bounced right off of it. So then you got your highs again. Okay? But if you'll get in the habit of doing this instead of these little boxes, you'll miss out on some of these fake outs. Because to me, until Lightning breaks back to the upside, you're still doing the old Lightning dance down, aren't you? Let me get rid of all this. And we're going to wrap here in just a second. We didn't get through all the trades, unfortunately. But if you look at this chart right here, you can clearly see that they thrust, they retrace. You know, they did take this out with a close, so wasn't that your swing right across there that would make the difference of this heading up? And when it broke it, didn't it head up? Lightning 3 is considered medium lightning, Jay, on your question, yes. And notice what else happens. I want to show you something that happens an awful lot. You break up, right? You want a good little breakup. Don't you think they're going to come back and kiss that? We called this trade in the room this morning too. Remember it? I had the line drawn on the chart right there. We boxed it in. Now keep in mind, what if you box this right where it's at, like this, and it breaks up above it, but it doesn't go ahead and continue like that? Okay? But where did Lightning get broken? Thrust, retrace, it got broken right there. That's when that meter would have changed to green. And then you got that trade. Okay? Lightning was going down, Lightning starts heading up. You can clearly see that it's doing the little dance down, and as it starts going back up, you'll get a low, a high, a higher low, a higher high, higher low, higher highs, and so on. And they'll always come back and check where they break out. That's those kiss trades. So let's see, what did we get taught tonight? Not as much as I wanted to, unfortunately. Bear with me a second, we'll go back on the chart. I may not have it anymore. Yeah, I do. All right, here it is. All right. So we talked about predictor trades, kiss trades, a little bit about mid-band and phantom, and the small boxes, like I said, I'd be a little more leery of those. Watch for Lightning to get broken, and you'll be surprised. Or a good support area. You know, for instance, when I mentioned this trade this morning in the room, that's the trade we were looking for. We actually called it out. We drew a line, and I said if it was going to get a higher low than that, we were going to head back up, and it tagged it, and it headed back up instead. That's actually a support kiss. Let's see, what's confusing sometimes is the different types of Lightning. Well, in that case then, James, just use the 3. Because power meter 4 is not as important. It's on a 12 range chart. It's looking at 12 ranges. But those 3 are really important to me right there. Okay? But if you'll get in the habit of buying support, selling resistance areas, And don't take a trade until you at least start getting the lightning going back the other direction. You'll get a lot better trades. Okay, and when they come back and kiss areas that are lightning 3, take them. Let's see, which video dates are the best to watch to get up to speed? Abe, on your question, what I'd recommend, sorry about that, I think the screen was frozen. What I would recommend on that would be go to our website under webinars. Actually, no, you're a member, so you'd go into the member area. But if you go into the members area, be sure to watch this one first, the special 2-hour training. This one tonight that I just did, it'll be up in a little while. This one I did last Wednesday night. I talked about how to identify lightning and how to trade it. And isn't it just like walking a set of steps? If you're walking down a set of steps, do you want to go long? No, you want to be long when you're going up the steps because you're buying low and selling high. When you're walking down the steps, you're doing the opposite, right? It's just like stairs. It's exactly the same thing as a set of stairs. And you will always see with identified lightning that it sets up some really pretty decent trades too. Any final questions before we wrap? I know I didn't get into everything, but you know, it takes quite a bit to show on these charts. Let's see. One thing, by the way, anybody that wants to wait for a trade, your best trade setups are after a thrust into these mid-band areas and lower on a long, and vice versa on a short. You know, but at the opens of the markets, you know, when you start seeing lightning start heading up, you know, I've got a lot of people that won't take this trade boxing in here because what could happen, they'll get in barely and then they'll pull back and take them out. But when did it start stepping up? Well, you can see it if you draw it. Just lightning started thrust, retrace, and it broke the high right there. That's when you're lightning. And notice when they do that, they always come back and check it. See that? They break up, they pull back, then they go off. Let's see. Jay, on your question, do you always sell a contract 5 ticks and 10? No, not necessarily. You can move those targets really quick. I'll talk about some of that on Saturday, how you can stay with a trade like a runner. And also, even though object traders set for 5 and 10 ticks, you know, for instance, if you had taken this trade earlier, well, one of your contracts would have definitely been up here, wouldn't it? Because they're shooting for that top, or maybe at least at the predictor. And then once you get that, see, it just nailed it. That was that predictor, and then it got a little bit lower. Then you could take some coin. Yeah, once it breaks lightning, see, that's what I'm saying, Mindy. As soon as you stair step, you know, just pretend you start at the top of a stairs and you're starting to walk. So you're stepping down, down on this one, down on this one, down on this one, down on this one. What happens when it starts breaking? You get a thrust, a retrace, and it breaks that swing right there. That's when lightning changed to the upside. But normally it will recheck it too. That's why I usually like to go maybe a contract or two and then add when it comes back and checks it. And if you'll stay with the stair-step method of trading, you won't get fooled around a lot. Okay? And at the open, just remember, they like to football around a lot. And if they break micro swings, to give an example like over here, you know, this was before we opened the room, you got to draw on your charts and you got to see where support and resistance is. And that's pretty much where they stayed in for about the first hour, wasn't it? About the first 30 minutes anyway. Well, red bars, Mindy, on your question, that doesn't mean it's going down. What I look at on going down is simply once you break lightning 3. If you look at this chart here, you've got lightning 3 here, 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 and basically this would have been, and I wouldn't just take it if it broke. I'd want it to do that and that. And of course it might be a kiss trade by then too, right? And then you just simply take the rollover. Yeah, red bars, don't worry about them because they're just deeper probes. But when that background's green and that midband's blue or green, it's still pretty much in an uptrend, but you can tell when it changes too, okay? Because later on in the afternoon, NQ did change, didn't it? Where do you think it changed? You want to see if you can figure it out? And then we'll wrap. Let's look at it. I'm going to get rid of the lightning. You tell me by looking at lightning 3 where this changes. Okay? There's your lightning swing. There you go. It just changed. See that? Now, where do you think, though, that your kiss trade will be on that chart? See it? It breaks, it comes back and kisses, and it rolls over. So you might have waited, you know, you got to trade here, you got to trade here, you got to trade here, but I'm talking about a trend change. That was actually a trend change when it started taking out that lightning 3. Because what was it doing? Stair-stepping up, stair-stepping up. That didn't count, so you go back to here, that one stair-stepped up. When it broke this area right here, it's no longer heading up. And the same thing will happen if it starts breaking again. See there? That one went up. You might have gotten a little trade right there. And then you went, what, breaking medium trend again? You broke down, you got a predictor trade, a predictor trade. Those predictor trades will pay you big time. There's a 10 tick, there's a 10 tick, there's a 10 tick, there's a 10 tick, and there's a 10 tick, or more than 10 ticks. Predictors, my favorite trade, and kisses. All right, we'll see everybody in the morning. Hope you enjoyed this webinar, and I'll get it posted here in just a little bit. All right, thanks everyone. Yeah, and what I wanted to show tonight too was a little safer way to trade. Doesn't mean you can't take a little more aggressive entry though. But if you wait for the stair step, you'll do pretty well.